Hi, I'm Martin from Lumen Street Theatre, and I'm here today to show you how to make some props with some everyday objects that you have at home. So what you're going to need to start is basically a cardboard box, and the first thing that you're going to have to do is to make it flat. So we're going to cut all the tape on it. Now that we have the box flat, I'm just going to tear it into two pieces. Okay, the first thing that we're going to make is a sword. Okay, for the sword you need a piece of cardboard that is 47.5 centimeters long. And then the cross piece has to be 16 centimeters in depth. We're going to make this piece, the shaft of the sword, and the handle 3.5 centimeters, and the cross piece 3 centimeters. Okay, so I'm just going to use my ruler to do that. I'll make it 3.5 there. Now the handle has to be big enough to hold your hand like this. So what I've done is I'm making it 11 centimeters deep. Now, you're going to need 3 of each of these. The length of the box that I have here is 45 centimeters. So if that's the length of the box that you have, you can make your sword 45 centimeters long. Okay, so now very carefully cut it out following the lines with the scissors. And you can have your mum or dad help you with this. Okay, as you can see, I have one cut out, but here are 2 more that I cut out earlier. So we need 3. Okay, it's very important that at least 2 of them go in the direction of the corrugation in the cardboard. That it's quite bendy this way, but then if you cut another one going in the other direction of the corrugation, it means it'll make your sword a lot stronger. So I'll just demonstrate that now. First I cut this way, now I'm going to cut this way. So you just cut this one out the same as the last one. You can make the blade of your sword wider if you'd like. I'll show you one that I prepared earlier in a moment. And when you're cutting it out, you can cut a nice point on the end of your sword also. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3 pieces. The next stage is glue. So I hope you all have PVA glue. And a brush. Okay, so now I have the two pieces that are cut crossways on the cardboard. That is, the cardboard is running this way. I've them marked for the outside, and the piece that has the corrugation either going at an angle or perpendicular to the others. Once I have those, I'm going to put this one in the middle. Okay, so it's to cover the whole thing with glue. Now, when you place the two of them together, make sure that you kind of squidge it around so that the glue makes contact with the whole surface. Okay, so now we do the same on the other side. And again, placing the outside template on top of the inner one, and again squidge it around just a little bit to make sure that it's making contact with everything. And then what we will do, because this will take a bit of time to dry, if we have sunshine, which we have been blessed with during this pandemic, you can leave it outside to dry in the sun, or you can put it to one side and leave it to dry overnight with a couple of heavy cookbooks placed on top of it. Okay, so I'm just putting masking tape in 5 places. So what you can do is you can tear off a strip of masking tape like this and get ready 5 pieces. And then you can place them over these parts. It's basically just to hold the sword together as it sets. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Okay, so what you can do is you can put it to one side to set by placing some heavy books on it, like so. That's so it doesn't distort in shape or anything like that. So you put it to one side, maybe overnight, or if you have a nice weather, you can leave it out in the sunshine or in the warm for a couple of hours. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side myself. Conveniently, here's one I made earlier. If you notice, this one has a wider blade on it, but it's much the same design. It's just so that this becomes like a design feature in the center. So that's completely dry now, quite rigid. What you can do then is you can cut a couple of extra cross pieces to go across this part. So what you can do is lay your sword down on a piece of cardboard. Make sure that it's right to the edge, like so. And then you can use your ruler to make sure that it's a straight line. And then use your scissors to cut that. This is just to give an extra level of interest to the sword. So this is the hilt of the sword, and this is the cross piece to protect your hand from another sword fighter. So basically what we're going to do is add another piece here. So same again with some PVA glue. And have it like so. So if you see. And we'll do the same on the other side. Now, and we have to squidge it around again just to make sure that it's making complete contact with all parts of the cardboard. We have some masking tape again. So basically this time we're going to put it here and here, and here and here. So this is another stage. Here is also another one I made earlier, but I've also added this extra piece here to add more definition to the blade. It'll also make it a bit stronger. But I've also placed these barbecue skewers, press them into the corrugation of the cardboard with some wood glue here, here and here. And we're going to make some tinfoil balls at the end, and we're going to put them here, here and here as some decoration. So I'm just going to make a piece here to go on this sword. Okay, so I'm just going to use some offcuts of cardboard that I have lying around, and I'm going to make them 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter deep. So because I need 2 of them, I'll mark 2 lines. So make sure that I have a straight line, and another straight line. So I have my 2 lines there. Now, going to use the scissors to cut this. Please get help from an adult. And 2. If you're using cereal boxes for this, you'll have to build up the layers to be maybe 6 or 7 layers of card. It's just that cereal boxes are a lot thinner type of card. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue this in position there, so we have that nice feature. So I'm going to coat this part with wood glue or PVA glue, and when I put it in position I'm going to squidge it again, make sure that it's all flat. I'm going to squidge it again, and I'm going to use a tiny little bit of tape just to hold it in position while it sets. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. You can mark a center line down here if you want, just to make sure that it's in the center. I'm judging it by eye, because I've been doing this for a very long time. Okay, and just to give it a little wiggle to make sure that it's making contact on lots of different points. Now, find the start of the masking tape again. Do the same, and just because I'm going to be making a few more things, I'm going to need more masking tape. Now, what do you think I'm going to say about this? We're going to place it to one side again to dry. And here's one I made earlier. And I'm going to take the tape carefully off this, just off those points. So, as you can see, there and there. Okay? Put that there. The next stage is to cover the whole sword in newspaper and PVA glue and paper mache, which will give it this appearance. If you see on this sword, I have used a skewer, a barbecue skewer, to create the embellishment that I use cardboard on this one for. So that is just held in place with PVA glue, and then it's covered over on top with some masking tape. So I'm going to demonstrate how you do the paper mache now. So you will need some newspaper, any newspaper that you have lying around, and what you can do. Okay, so this is your newspaper. You just tear it into strips. Ooh, interesting. Into strips. So basically what you want is squares about 2-inch squares, about that size. Not much smaller than that. Okay, I have some here already. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to start to cover this sword in some PVA glue and paper mache. So you can do 1 layer or 2 layers or 3 layers. It all depends on time that you have. The more layers that you put on, the stronger your sword will be. So basically what you do is you coat the area that you want to put the paper on with glue, and then you place a piece of newspaper on it, and then you paint over that area with PVA glue again, paying special attention to make sure that the areas that you've covered, that you're pushing to allow that embellishment through. You can even use a pencil maybe to make sure that it's going right into the corners. Okay, so we're going to continue that all the way around. I'll just do another few bits. You can use lots and lots of PVA glue. Just make sure it isn't too wet, because it may affect your cardboard. I'm gently pushing it into all the creases and places there. So basically what you're going to do is to cover the entire sword at least twice. Okay, and you continue along the whole piece until this cross piece, because you'll be able to hold it here. You may need help from an adult. And then you put it to one side to dry, and then you take it back and you cover this piece with newspaper as well, until you end up with a piece like so. Okay, the next stage of this is paint. Okay, so I'm just going to get some paint right now. Okay, we're just getting ready to paint our sword, but before we paint the sword, we're going to place some barbecue skewers inside the sword to take our decoration, as we discussed in the last section. So we're just going to stick them in through here. You can use some PVA glue in there. So basically you just need to make them 3 or 4 inches long. We need to keep them out about 1 inch, equal on both sides. Okay, so just going to do the same here, and I'm going to cut that to a point so I can pierce a piece there. Okay, now before we go any further, what you're going to need is some tin foil. You need to take a piece of tin foil about a foot square, and you need to roll it into a ball, as tight a ball as you can. Okay, there's ball, 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 3 balls. And what we're going to do then is we're going to put them on the ends, these pieces, like so. And you can glue them into position. Okay, I'm just going to put them there for the moment. I'm going to leave them off while I paint. We can glue them in afterwards. Okay, you only need black, white and brown, and maybe a little bit of blue for your sword. So I'm going to start with the blade of the sword and these pieces here, because they're metal. The handle is going to be wooden. Okay, so I'm just going to use some white paint, any kind of white paint that you have lying around the house even. White, a little bit of blue, and I have some black here. If you want, you can use silver paint, but not many people will have access to silver paint. Or so for this, to make grey, you mix white. So I'm going to take some white here. I'm going to use a very, very small bit of black to make up my grey, like so. Then I'm going to paint the entire piece. so that's quite an even finish on our sword now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a little bit of blue and add it into the grey so that we get this kind of look or tone to it. I'm going to paint, just hit it in spots. Okay, now before you do the next piece, I would recommend that you wait for it to dry, and once it's dry, I would then get your brown If you don't have brown paint, you can use red and green to make brown, or you can paint this part of the handle. You could paint it black, and then if you have some wool or string or anything like that lying around at home, you can wrap around the whole handle of the sword once it's all done. So I'm just going to paint it very, very, very carefully with the brown. It works a little bit better if you wash your brush. I haven't, but we get the same. We get the desired effect. Okay, so what we're going to do with this now is we're going to leave it to one side to dry, and I'll come back and I'll do the final kind of embellishment on it, which will be adding these pieces, and also we'll add a bit of string or wool, whatever you have at home. Okay, if you don't want to wait for it to dry, what you can do, you can use a hairdryer to dry it. This is almost dry, so I'm just going to give it a quick. Okay, so you continue until it's completely dry. Okay, now what we're going to do is attach these balls. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to pierce the balls with the bit of barbecue skewer, and then we're going to cover the end of the barbecue skewer with PVA glue, and then we're going to pierce our sword with it all the way to the end. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'll do the same with this one. Just means that when they dry, they'll stay stuck in position. So we're going to go like this, and push it all the way home. Okay? So we very, very shiny bits on our sword. Okay, now if you have string like this, or just some kind of colored thread, or maybe even an old shoelace, whatever that you have at home, what you do is, for the handle, what we're going to do is we're going to stick, say, the shoelace to the center part here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it all the way around, like so, until we've completely covered our handle. If you're doing this with thread or with string, it will take quite a bit of time, but no worries, because if it takes time, it's worth it. Everything that's meant to last should take time. I'm just going to go back over with some twine. Okay, so what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to tie it. You might need someone to put their finger here. Okay, and we'll have to make sure that that ball gets an extra bit of glue. Maybe we can even go around the top of the ball a bit. Back around like this. It's your sword, so do whatever you want with it. Thing with swords is the kind of dirtier the handle looks, the more realistic it is, I think. So as you begin to use it, it'll start to look more realistic. When it's all dry like this, you can actually use a paintbrush, put a very, very small amount of black paint on the paintbrush, and then what you do is you take off nearly all of it. See the way it's barely on this. So this is a technique called dry brushing. So it gives that kind of dirty, kind of used look to your sword. Okay, and you may need to put a little bit of super glue, if you have it, onto these pieces just to make them stay in position. There you have it. There's one sword.
Hi, my name is Giordano from the Lumen Street Theatre. Today I'm going to show you, as part of the Cruinniú, how to make a little bit costume made out of pieces of paper lying around your house. This is particularly is a newspaper, and what we made a little apron. Okay, very, very nice. Again, it would be, this size would be suitable for about 8 to 9 years old person. Okay, so how did we do that? So we use paper, newspaper lying around. Sorry, newspaper lying around. Okay, so we're gonna need sellotape and the ruler. So as you saw in the piece, we pleated the skirt quite a lot, okay, to create all that volume. So at this point, so I'm going to show you that some papers are bigger than others. Okay, this one here I kind of split it in half, a page, and then I folded it in half again, so to make it easy to fold. And I'm going to use the ruler, okay, to kind of dictate the size of the pleats I'm going to do. Now, as you can see, I'm folding the paper over, and I'm going to use the ruler. Sorry, I'm going to use the ruler as a way of what you call it, kind of guide me and create a very straight line. And then I'm gonna fold over about 1 centimeter forward. So that means, you know, I create a little bit of fabric. You see, if you just pleat pleats on top of each other, you don't actually, it becomes a little bit harder to spread them out and keep them into position. This one's here, they're just very professional pleats, and they're gonna give us what we need. So as you can see, it's a little bit time consuming. All right, but everything is time consuming, it's worth it sometimes. Now, and you do learn a lot from the process. Now, so I'm gonna keep pleating until I get to the end of the page. Okay, I keep moving my ruler forward and backwards until it shows 1 centimeter. And by the end of this, you're going to be an expert on pleating with the ruler. La la la. There you go. So I got my pleats, and you can see they it creates a lovely, you know, effect. That's what we want. So I take my sellotape. That is right here with me now a little bit. Here we go, sellotape. I cut a little bit of it and I leave it here hanging over here this way, so that I know exactly what I'm doing. So I keep the pleats into position, then I turn them around, and the other side of the sellotape gets pushed down into position again, and this is going to keep the pleating from opening and closing all the time. But what we're going to gain, volume. There you go. So I kind of calculated that you need to make about 3 of those, all right, and you need to kind of attach them one close to each other, and they're gonna give us the width of the skirt. Sorry. They're gonna give us this kind of width of the skirt. So this part here, all this will give us a section like that. So we need about 3. Okay. At this point, so I'm just gonna reshow one more time. Put the ruler and pleat. Ruler. As you can see, it's a little bit windy. We're not complaining. Down. Ruler, pleat. See, I got very fast now from all the practicing. Okay. Got another piece. Doesn't matter where you attach it, but if you attach it down in the part that actually has the fold is better. And I decided to do 2 layers because that would actually give you a bit of a stronger surface. So your outfit is gonna last a little bit longer. At this point, where we're saying about connecting the pieces together like this, just overlap them. Okay, and you get your the width of your lovely pleat frill. All right. At this point, whoa! At this point, I'm gonna use another piece of newsprint. Okay, and this is gonna be, I'm just gonna fold it in to this side about, and our, what you call it, and our frilly pleats, they're gonna be attached to this. So this is gonna be like a base where the skirt is gonna be built onto, as you can see from this. Okay, and from this you can see all the pieces are attached to it. Okay, so one piece is gonna attach like that, and then the next layer will be attached like that, upwards it until you have 4 layers built up like this. Okay, we were for the purpose of this stage of the making, we just make sure that I'm gonna have 3 layers of these pleats ready. Okay, you can do it 4 like in the sample, it look even fuller, but for you know, for these for what we need to do today, we're just going to show you 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have a page folded in half of the newspaper, and I'm gonna tape the first layer very close to the edges. Okay, so this has become like a base for where our frills are going to be attached. So just put 3 sections of the tape, and then the next layer is going to be halfway up. Gonna cut some sellotape. Now if you find this part a little bit hard, I'm sure there's a friend or somebody might give you a hand to prepare all the tape. Okay, and then the last stage, this one, where we're going to apply the rest of the frilly layers. Okay, at this point, after making 2 more of those, you can make 4 if you want to, like from the example piece. So the layers, they're going to be attached first at the edge of the little piece of paper to keep it into position, and then the second layer in the middle, and the third layer nearly to the top. Okay, and at this point there is another little piece of paper that needs to be you know, about 5 centimeters in each side, smaller than the actual size of the apron, attached from the back with tape, and maybe reinforce them a little bit with the staplers. And then I actually took a half sheet of the paper, rolled it similar to the same size as the ruler. Okay, and then I attach it onto the actual front of the apron to create the idea of a belt. Okay, as you can see, this is a little bit small, so we're going to have to attach longer pieces into it. Now, to kind of decorate the apron a little bit, we are going to attach these pieces like that to make it possible to put around your neck. Okay, and do the same in the other side. And 2. I'm gonna place a little bit more tape to make sure it's well stuck. A little bit on this side to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So, and then you need to kind of place it around your neck and see the length you need it to make sure you're actually able to you know, put your head through it. Okay, so I kind of measure that this distance is about right, so I'm just going to cut it to the side I need to. I'm going to staple it together. Again, I'm going to put a little bit more tape. Okay, again, this can be painted, you can spray painted, you can make you know, stencils on top of it to decorate, whatever you need to do. this point, you just need to attach longer section in each side, and your apron is ready. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So what I did, I attach extra length at the side so that goes around the waist properly. It's great fun. And that goes over my head. Okay. Now I'm going to show you. Again, if you use colorful paper, for example, I still had loads of those, you know, kids comics. I made a smaller version, even for a younger person to wear, with a little diggable in the front. And I hope you enjoy this. And this is what you call it. I hope you enjoy this, and hope you know, you'll have loads of fun making it. This could be the start of a numerous things that you can actually experiment with. And thank you very much from the Lumen Street Theatre. Enjoy yourself.